Welcome to Say Yes to Profits. Here at Say Yes Profits, we help consultants build million-dollar firms while tripling their cash flow and profits without stress, struggle, or burnout. Now, our goal is to make you smile when you log into your bank account because you have more money, more profits, and you're paying less taxes. So subscribe, follow, and listen up. And as a result, we will make it rain money in your business. Now join me on the path to say yes to profits. Hello, everyone. I am Octavia, and I'm super excited about today's live. So we are going to discuss the PPP updates from the Biden's administration and how they will affect you as a small business owner. So the U.S. House of Representatives passed a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill recently. And in this episode, I'm going to break everything down for you. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with me, I am Octavia Connor, CEO of Say Yes to Profits. I am a virtual CFO for consultants that desire to have more money, more profits, and pay less taxes. Today, we are streaming live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and in the Say Yes to Profits community. Now, if you're watching us live, if you have any questions, I'm going to answer the questions at the end. If you're watching a replay, thank you for watching. I'm also going to come back and answer any questions that are left in the comments on the different platforms. So the stimulus bill that recently came out will affect the entire world, right? I'm sure you are aware of that. I'm specifically going to cover the PPP changes and the impact the stimulus bill will have on businesses who did or did not receive the PPP. Now, I'm going to cover a lot of things, and then I'm also going to, at the end, go over your CEO next best steps. So the things you need to do in order to make sure that you benefit greatly from the changes with the PPP. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first thing that I want to go over is the PPP Updates Overview. Now, the Biden and Harris administration is now targeting the hardest hit, smallest businesses as a top priority. To target the hardest hit small businesses, they've made several changes. Starting with, as of February 24th, only businesses with fewer than 20 employees can apply for the loans for a 14-day period, which actually ends tomorrow, March 9th. Now, all other businesses can still apply up to March 31st, okay? And they actually set aside $1 billion in PPP loan funds for businesses without employees in low and moderate income areas. Now, a couple of changes that's going to affect this. They are revising the loan calculations formula for sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals so that they receive more relief. Now, before, they were looking at the net income as far as the calculations. Now they're looking at the gross income. And based on the calculations on the gross income, this actually can possibly result in more loan money for small businesses. All right. The next thing, they're eliminating two major restrictions. They are eliminating the restriction that prevents small business owners with prior non-fraud felony convictions from obtaining relief through the PPP. They're also eliminating the restriction that prevents business owners who are delinquent on federal student loans. They can now receive relief as well. In addition to that, non-citizen small business owners who are lawful U.S. residents can now apply for the PPP using their individual taxpayer identification number. All right. After the 2-week period ends, all other companies that are not within everything that I just mentioned can still apply up to March 31st. So You want to get your application in as soon as possible if you can show that you had at least a 25% reduction in your revenue. All right. So that's the first thing. The next thing, the PPP expenses and tax deductions. So this is going to be really great for small business owners. So previously, the IRS stated that expenses covered with the PPP loan would not be tax deductible. Now, the new bill has simplified the program, and now any expenses covered by the PPP can be claimed as a tax deduction. That's really great. This is super beneficial for small businesses because what this does is lower your taxable income, which then lowers your tax liabilities. So, for example, if you receive, let's say, $10,000 in PPP loan, and you use the entire $10,000 on payroll costs, the payroll cost is now 100% tax deductible, whereas before, any expenses paid with the PPP loan were not tax deductible. So again, this is very, very beneficial for small businesses. The next thing is non-taxable income. Now, before, it was unclear if the forgiven amount would be considered taxable income. Now, the forgiven amount of a PPP loan will not be included as taxable income. So basically, you can use the expenses we just discussed as write-offs for taxes, but the loan received will not be taxable income. Pretty much, this also lowers your tax liability, okay? The next thing is PPP eligible expenses expanded. So what does this mean? Well, with the PPP loan, there is a 60-40 required split. 60% must be used on payroll costs and 40% on eligible expenses. In the previous bill, the eligible expenses were rent, utilities, and the interest portion of any mortgage payments. In the second stimulus bill, the PPP loan can be used for property damage, supplier costs, workers' protection costs, and operations costs. So now you can use the PPP for more business expenses. And guess what? Again, they are all tax deductible. So the way that they're setting up the PPP now is really, really going to benefit you as a small business owner. The next part, you can now request for the PPP loan amount to increase. So any business that was approved for a larger amount, but opted to receive either a smaller amount or they received the funds and they returned it due to all of the uncertainties that was going on during that time, they can now require or they can now apply to receive those funds again. So let me give you an example. Let's say you were approved for $30,000, but you only accepted $15,000. Now you can go back and apply and request to receive the remainder $15,000 that you were originally approved from. Now here's the thing. The SBA has been given 17 days from the date in which the president signed the relief bill to release guidelines for this process. Now, as of today, I haven't seen any guidelines that they have released, but I'm going to keep checking. And when I find the guidelines or become aware of them, I'll definitely come back. I'll do another live to give you all the guidelines as well. All right. So the next thing, the EIDL. So previously, the EIDL really affected those businesses that wanted to apply for the PPP. Many businesses did not qualify for the PPP because they received the EIDL advance grant. The grant was up to $10,000 and it was based on the number of employees a business had. With the new stimulus bill, if you receive the EIDL advance grant, it no longer will either reduce what you qualified for with the PPP or it will not disqualify you at this time. So basically, you can receive the grant and still receive the full amount that you were approved for with the PPP. Okay. And then the next thing, payroll tax deferral extended. So basically, with the previous bill, businesses were given the ability to defer the collections and payment of the employee portion of Social Security tax until 2021. This started for a beginning of September 1st of 2020. This basically meant that employees could keep a larger portion of their paycheck due to not having to pay Social Security until April 30th of 2021, and employers can hold off on making that payment until April 30th of 2021. With this new bill, the deadline for the deferred amount was extended to December 31st of 2021. Now, the payments can be made up until then, but if they're not made until January 1st or after, there are penalties and interest and fines that can tack on at that time. So you have up until December 31st of 2021 to make the payments, okay? Now, what I want to do now is leave you with some CEO next best steps, okay? So here's what you want to do. The first thing, you want to contact an FDA approved institution to apply for the PPP today if you experience at least a 25% reduction in revenue and you have less than 20 employees. You want to receive the funds before they are exhausted by the larger businesses. If you don't meet those requirements, then you have up until March 31st to apply for the PPP. But this is definitely something you want to get on ASAP because the deadline for those smaller, hardest hit businesses is tomorrow, March the 9th. The second thing you must do, hands down, you need an accurate, reliable financial reports and financial management system to prove a 25% reduction in your revenue. Now, of course, our team of financial experts here at Say Yes to Profits can answer your questions, can get your finances in order, and file your taxes correctly. What you must understand as the CEO of your consulting firm or your small business is that the road to having more money and more profits start with maintaining a solid financial management system for your business. Okay. So, of course, if you need assistance, if you have any questions, definitely leave your questions and comments and we'll come back and answer them. If you need assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll answer any questions that you have and help you and make sure that you possibly qualify for the PPP, or at the least you get your finances in order. More money, more profits, less taxes means having an accurate, timely, reliable financial management system. I cannot stress that enough. So again, if you have any questions or comments, leave those below. We'll answer your questions. If you need help with your finances, reach out to us. And until next time, you know what I'm about to say, all right? Say yes to profits. Toodles.